Well, welcome to another Acoustic Alternatives podcast. I'm John Bommarito from Grove Studios, and this is a first. I have a sponsor for my podcast, and we'll talk a little bit more about David Palmer, but David Palmer has been a supporter of mine for a while. He's a guy you can learn more about right now by going to dcpalmer.com. Well, not right now, actually watch the podcast, but write down dcpalmer.com. He's an associate broker realtor serving clients in the city of Detroit throughout the region. I'm going to tell you more about him, but I can't tell you how excited I am for this guest. This is a guest who has written songs that have just reached my heart in a way that nobody else really can do. And we've forged a friendship over the years of visiting in studios and me seeing her at shows. And please welcome Liz Longley. Liz, it's so good to see you.
So good to see you too. Your face. Seeing faces is such a beautiful thing these days.
I think this is the third podcast since I started that I'm not wearing a mask. So wow. Yeah, I know. Last couple of guests, we kind of got away from the masks. But yeah.
Freedom. Thank you so much for having me, John. It's so good to see you again.
Anytime. And really, it's more my pleasure, I think, than for you, but it's all good.
No, I'm happy to be here.
I know you are, because you're sincere. I like to do, even though we've done a lot of interviews, because the podcast is kind of a new audience for the most part, I kind of like to start at the beginning.
Okay.
And pretend like nobody knows you, which is kind of weird. So when does your journey begin? When does music start in the life of Liz Longley?
That's a great question. Well, I grew up in a very musical household, actually. My dad, I'll roll back even further. My grandfather was an army band leader and had 5 kids, and every single kid had an instrument. My dad was the oldest, had the trumpet, and they were lined up every time anyone came over to visit. They had to play for whoever came over. And so my dad thought that was totally normal because that's how he grew up. So when my brother and I were kids, we each were told we were going to take lessons, and anytime anyone came over, we were performing. But I didn't really start falling in love with music until I started exploring writing my own songs, which was when I was 14. Yeah. And I'd been writing I'd been playing for piano for about 7 years before that. But as soon as I felt that freedom to finally just express my own self and find myself through music, that's really when I knew it was what I wanted to do, which is crazy. But yeah, 14 years old, I played my first song out at a 9th grade performance, got a standing ovation, and decided right then and there that it's what I was going to do.
Besides your parents and other family members, do you remember who the first person to encourage you to do that? Because that takes courage to do that.
Oh, I had the greatest teachers. I really did. And my choir teacher actually is who got me to play my first song in the first place. I was supposed to have a solo and I was going to sing, probably some Disney song or something like that. And I said, Mr. McCluskey, I wrote a song. And he said, that's it. You're playing that. And I immediately wanted to take it back. No, I didn't want that. But yeah, he's just said, you're out there. I'm putting you on the piano and you're going to play it and you're going to see how it goes. And that was what made it stick. And I was lucky to have a band teacher that was very supportive too. So my whole high school was just incredible.
That's great.
I played at our prom. So that's how supportive they were.
Wow. You didn't actually go to prom. You played at prom.
Yeah, I played prom.
I had kind of felt the way about my 20-year class reunion. I'm like, I kind of want to go, but I kind of don't want to go. So I'm just going to DJ it. And that way, if people want to talk to me, I'm standing still. They can come talk to me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
In your safe place.
Yeah. And it didn't work because nobody talked to me. Anyway, so piano was your first instrument and then guitar?
Guitar. Yeah. I didn't start guitar until I was a teenager. And I gravitated toward it as I kept studying music. I went to college for songwriting and found that the guitar was much more friendly for different grooves and different sounds and much more portable.
A little bit.
Yeah, especially I lived in Boston, and I remember I was walking to a gig with my keyboard over a bridge in the snow, and I thought, I think I'm going to switch to guitar.
Did you learn nothing from Ben Folds? He took his piano everywhere. Well, you've got a beautiful guitar. I'd like to hear a little quick story about the guitar and whatever song you want to play.
Sure. This is a McPherson guitar. I'm so lucky to play it. I'm obsessed with it. I've had it for years, but it is just the most impeccable instrument. Basically, they're made like a grand piano of guitars. And so if you look them up online, McPherson guitars, the holes are in the top of the guitar so that the sound has more space to resonate. And the bridge is floating, so nothing detracts from the resonance. So it has a much fuller sound than any guitar I've played before.
It's beautiful.
And they only make 100 of them a year, so they're pretty rare in the guitar world. Anyway, here's a song called My Muse. This is off my new record called Funeral for My Past. He sits on my front porch, nursing a cigarette. It's well past 5 a.m. He's wide-eyed and buzzing. Just like everybody else in this town, I met him at the bar. out his heart. Some say it's the war, some say it's the whiskey. My muse, the glory in his mess. He's as confused as I am about life and death, and I am bound to his darkness like he's bound to my light. He's my muse. I tried to paint him, though he's hard to define. His ever-changing shade, his mysterious mind. Tonight I see him in the deepest of blues, tangerine hues, under the light of the moon. Yeah, he's my muse. The glory in his mess. He's as confused as I am about life and death, and I am bound to his darkness like he's bound to my light. He's my muse. He reminds me how broken humanity is, and how beautiful brokenness really is. And he speaks in stories as weathered as the boots he's in. And he reminds me that we all have dreams that never see the light, 'cause we don't let it in. And how we're all just dying till we choose to live. He's my muse. A glory in his mess. He's as confused as I am about life and death, and I am bound to his darkness like he's bound to my light. He's my muse.
Liz Longley is my guest on Acoustic Alternatives this week. My muse from Funeral for My Past, one of my favorite albums, which we'll get to as we talk a little bit later, of 2020. And that was one of the highlights of 2020, was you, really, quite honestly.
Thank you.
Well,
thanks for being there for me through all that. It was incredible to feel like, you know, I could play a show online and feel some sort of connection to the people that I missed. And I hated not being on the road, but that was a highlight for me, getting to feel connected nonetheless.
Glad to hear it. Well, we're talking a little bit about young you and 14-year-old writing a song. Was songwriting kind of a natural thing for you? Was it sort of an extension of what you were already like growing up listening to and doing in the house? Or was it you felt like maybe this is what I should do?
It happened without much, you know, there wasn't much thought that went into it, except for my parents went on vacation and my grandmother was home. And so I had this like alone time to just kind of explore sounds and sing whatever was on my mind. And it was a very natural evolution. And my parents supported it every step of the way and made me feel like it was something that I could do. But yeah, I would say it was pretty natural. But I knew that I wanted to learn more about it. Like there's two parts of songwriting. There's like the heart part and the brain part. And my heart was in it. But I've learned that you can also step away from your songs and look at them more in an analytical way and kind of figure out how to make them stronger. So I went to college to get the tools to do that.
Berklee College of Music, not just college.
Yes.
That's kind of a distinction. You didn't go to, University of Michigan, which has a great music school as well, but Berklee, the reputation is a pretty big deal. So
yeah, it was an incredible experience.
I bet. And you obviously honed your craft there a little bit more than you did as a 14-year-old.
Yes.
do you find that it is easier to write songs because of that experience, or you have like a 14-year-old kind of just came out of you right now? I mean, you've got more life experience. It seems like it would be easier, but maybe it's harder. I don't know.
I wouldn't say that. Well, you know, it's funny because people that were studying songwriting or people that decided not to choose songwriting as a major, I felt like some of them I heard people say, I don't want to learn anything about it. I don't want it to stunt my natural songwriting tendencies. And I felt the opposite way. I was like, give me all of the tools. I will still write songs in a meditative state, and then I'll come out of that state and I'll get to use the tools to sharpen my songs. And so I still feel like I use them to this day. So yes, it's definitely made songwriting easier. What makes songwriting harder now, looking at it from, you know, now I'm 33 years old, I write songs in a much more, like I edit myself before it's even begun, because now the internet is such a thing and you start to think, oh, who's going to hear this and who's going to think what? But when I was young, I didn't give a hoot who heard it or what they thought. I was just doing it. So
just pouring out your heart.
Yeah. And that's what I longed to get back to. But the tools, they only help me.
Awesome. Well, the first thing I can find in your discography, which I don't actually have, is an EP called Naked Trees.
Ooh.
I know. There's a web page called Discogs, which has a bunch of things. I'm like, I don't have that. I don't have that. We're going to talk about that later. When did you start getting national attention? Was it your third album, Hot Loose Wire, that started getting more, like actually getting airplay on
yes.
radio stations?
Yep, that one got some attention, and that's actually how I got the McPherson guitar. They heard When You've Got Trouble on the radio and reached out to me. But that's when I started getting an influx of emails about people all over the country hearing When You've Got Trouble and how it touched their life. And that was a huge turning point for me.
So 2010 is where it kind of started to get going. The ball started rolling in your direction.
Yep.
I also saw a leap in growth in your songwriting. There's good stuff on those early records. Good example, When You've Got Trouble. I love that song. But the tracks on the following album is really, I felt like a huge step forward for you in your career. And that, it didn't ultimately work out to be that great, but you did get signed to a label, Sugar Hill, which had been around forever.
Yeah.
What was your reaction when you got that? Was it sort of an I made it kind of feeling? Or was it more like, wow, this is cool?
Yeah, you know, I think I always thought that the end goal was always get a record deal and then you're good, you know, like you're golden and you just like do your thing and you're set. But no, I realized right away that's not how it is. And you just have to work harder, you know? And there's been no point that I've had to stop grinding to make music work. So yeah, getting a record deal was great to have that team feeling for a little while. But then also there's pros and cons to each thing. Now I'm an independent artist and I love that I don't have to answer to anyone and I can write and release any kind of music whenever I want, sound like whatever I want. And I feel like I have a closer connection to the people that listen to my music because I'm making it for me. So, and them, you know, I'm not answering to a label and what they see as my next sound or my next, you know, play in the music business. So, yeah, it did change my life temporarily, but now I have a different perspective.
Well, before they got a hold of it, you had released it independently.
Yes.
And actually, there's a song that's not included on it. Your cover of a Queen song didn't end up on the Sugar Hill version.
Right.
But that, in either form, whether it has or doesn't have the Queen song, that 2015 release is one of my favorite albums of all time, and I'm not kidding you. It is such a great record.
Thank you.
Stands up every time I listen to it. It takes me to a place of it's solid from start to finish.
Thank you so much.
And you still do those songs in concert quite a bit too.
I do. It's one of probably my most popular records still, and I'm still really proud of it. It's funny because, you know, typically I make a record and then like a couple of years later, I'm like, oh shoot, let's forget about that one. But that one I'm still really proud of. And the process of making that record was such a dream. I mean, I got to work on Music Row with some of the best musicians in Nashville, people that had played for Sheryl Crow and James Taylor and Stevie Nicks. And so it was just like a ridiculous experience. And it was all made possible because I was independent at the time from a Kickstarter. Then I got the label deal and then I made records with them. And then I was independent again and my fans helped me through Kickstarter buy my music back from them. So it was just kind of a crazy full circle moment, but I loved all of it. I feel so lucky to get to do this. Yeah.
Well, like I said, it was the moment where I kind of went from being wow, she's good to holy crap. How does she write my heart? How does she do that? You got inside of me and you don't even really know me. I met you once before that or right around that time, actually. No, it was in between that record. I think that I met you for the first time. You were playing Black Crystal Cafe.
Yeah.
and you had handed me Hot Loose Wire, and we did a little session. But yeah, it was a huge okay, I'm paying attention now. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
It was right around that time that it seemed like Taylor Swift was helping careers of others by tweeting about them or bringing them on tour because she believed in them. I think if she had done that for you, you wouldn't be sitting here with me, because that would have taken you to the plane that I think you actually deserve to be on. The same as her. I mean, quite honestly, her songwriting is obviously very good, and she's doing pretty well for herself.
She's doing all right.
She's doing all right. But I don't think there's really a difference in the quality of songwriting between what you're doing and what she's doing. There's no reason you couldn't be as well known if you even want that. I mean, you might be extremely comfortable with this level of success that you've achieved.
2020 really made me think about that, about what kind of career that I want, as opposed to what career I always thought I should want. And I think I've always just thought, I want to be as big as I possibly can. But there is we're in Nashville. We see firsthand what it's like for some of those people that have really made it, and how private they have to be, and how hard it is to be a famous person. And just to be a public figure it's a whole nother job on top of being a musician. And I don't know if I really want that. I love just getting to do what I do. And so at this point, I always said this though, when I was in college, all my friends were trying to write #1 hit songs, and they're like, we're going to make millions of dollars and write #1 songs. And I was like, I'm going to keep just playing coffee shops and doing my thing. And they're like, do you really want that for the rest of your life? And I think I do. Is that bad?
No, think of the connections. I mean, I just saw you do a house concert, and the connections you have with your fans is
that is what fuels me. That's what I love. People. I love getting to connect with people, and realizing that we've all experienced a lot of the same things, depending on, we've all had different experiences, but we've felt a lot of the same emotions. And the fact that music can connect us in that way is really, really special.
You got a moment like you had last night where you're in this really intimate venue, but then we could recall a moment that I believe Brandi Carlile brought you on stage.
Yes, that was pretty cool.
You could talk about that. I mean, if you wanted to.
Yeah, so 2018, I was playing Pilgrimage Festival, which I was so looking forward to, and it got rained out, and Brandi Carlile's set got rained out too, so she decided to take over the City Winery in Nashville and have her own concert there, which, I think that place holds like 400, 500 people maybe. So it sold out in an instant when the festival shut down. And she texted me that day. She got my number from a mutual friend, just casually getting a text from Brandi Carlile, like, hey, you want to come sing tonight? I was like, yeah, I would like that.
Is this really Brandi?
Yeah. And that night I played the title track of my new record, Funeral for My Past. And I don't think I'd played it very much at all. And I had the crowd singing with me, which was such a cool feeling. And then Brandi pulled me aside afterwards and was very kind and supportive. And she's just a treasure in the music industry. So getting to share that song with her crowd was something I'll always remember.
I've had her kindness in front of me a couple of times in my life, and she's just a sweetheart for sure.
She really is. Yeah.
Speaking of Funeral for My Past, the album, that's the latest album. Would you like to do another song?
Sure, absolutely. This is a track off the new record. This is a love song that I wrote for my now husband, but it's the first song I wrote for him. And I remember telling him, hey, I wrote you a love song. It's called Torture. That went over well. Being without you is being locked in a room. An eternal afternoon set to a song sung out of tune over and over again. Why does it feel like torture not to have your skin on mine? How I lived before you loved me, and now I'm dying all the time. All my pleasure choked by pain. Since I let you get away, I should have tied you to the bed when I had you in the flesh. Now I'm chained to the memory. How the music played loud, how my hair came down, how you kissed my mouth with a fire I can't put out. Why does it feel like torture It's all for you. Why does it feel like torture not to have your skin on mine? How I lived before you loved me, and I'm dying. How I lived before you loved me, and I'm dying. How I lived before you loved me, and I'm dying all the time.
I didn't cry. Go me, Liz Longley on Acoustic Alternatives. Torture from Funeral from My Past, though obviously done right here in front of me at Grove Studios. And what a treat that is. That is one of my favorite songs ever. It reaches me in ways that I can't. It's so beautiful. And
Thank
the
you so
man who's
much.
written about it is out of camera view, but right to my right here. And
He's right here.
He's right here.
The man himself.
I think you looked at him briefly for a second when you were singing it. Like, that's got to be hard. Before I move forward, I mentioned at the beginning of the program, this is the first time I've actually had a sponsor for the program. And that's really how I was able to do this, because it was about time that it was going to end without the sponsor. And I said, ooh, wait, no. I have a chance to have Liz Longley in. I'm gonna see if I can find somebody who actually believes in what I'm doing. And I do have somebody. My first sponsor, David Palmer's a guy I've known for many years. He's been supporting me here and on the radio for many years, and he specializes in helping first-time home buyers and those selling a home who are still recovering from their experience at the first-time buyers with a past agency. This is something that he specializes at. You can read testimonials about David's work at dcpalmer.com. He's also quite adept at estate sales and downsizing. If you're near my age, you may have already had to struggle with the passing of a loved one, a parent, and being able to decide what to do with a lifetime of stuff inside the home. That's going to be tough for me coming up soon. Many of us have been thinking about when the inevitable happens. What am I going to do? Well, David Palmer is your solution for that. He will walk you through the steps, and with your permission, he'll help you manage the third parties whose services you will need. I've known David Palmer for years. He's a great human being. He's got a vast knowledge of the Detroit region and cares deeply about positive social impact. You will enjoy discussing more than just your future home with David. If you're a music fan, talk music with the man. He's great at it. I'm really glad to know David, and I think you will be too. Please check out David's website again. It's dcpalmer.com, and see how he can help you or someone you know buy or sell a home. And David Palmer is affiliated with Realty Experts LLC, 1420 Washington, number 301, Detroit, Michigan, 48226. That phone number is 313-759-9558. Thanks for letting me do that in the middle of this.
Oh, heck yeah.
I mean, really, it is him that makes this possible today. So.
That is so cool.
So we're up to 2016. Waitlist was the album that followed your self-titled album. Another one that I felt was overlooked by the masses because it has some great stuff. I actually have that one with me today because I was searching through what I have in my collection by you, which is nearly everything. And since I've met you so many times, they're all autographed, except somehow this one. Somehow I didn't have you scribble on that. So great album. Another album that people should look into. Something that's kind of funny about the way I've fallen in love with your music, though, even though this is a beautifully, fully produced record, for the most part, I've seen you do the songs just like you're doing them today in the acoustic forms. And you've done band shows, but I hear the lyrics more and I feel more when it's just you and the guitar, you and the piano. Do you get that reaction a lot from your fans? Because people come up and see you in this form.
Yes. Yeah. And that's been something that's been really important to me, to take that feedback and run with it, especially in the studio. It's really important that the lyrics are heard. And I mean, that's where, like we're talking about connection, that's where the connection is made with the lyrics. At least for me as a listener, that's how I connect to a song. So to find a producer like Paul Moak for Funeral from My Past, where the lyrics could shine, I felt more than any record I had before that wasn't stripped down, was really important to me. So finding people that know how to serve a song is really important. But yeah, I do get that a lot. And so now most of my tours are really just me and my guitar and my piano.
And you figured out how to incorporate that into the album recordings too, like make sure that the things that stand out at the show stand out in the records.
Exactly. And coming out this year, I have an acoustic EP of Funeral from My Past. So 6 songs from the record, completely stripped down. So it is something more like the show.
I was going to get to that. Actually, I'm there now. It's your excellent newest album, Funeral from My Past, which just came out in 2020. My third favorite album of the hundreds released in 2020. So you've also, because I have the EP already, being one of your Patreon fans, it was my favorite EP of 2020, which apparently I need to move it to the 2021 list because
it's not officially out yet.
It's in my collection and I've had it for a long time. There's 6 acoustic versions of songs from the album that really stand out that way. So look for that officially released. Is there a month, a date?
The first single comes out on July 9th.
Soon enough.
Yeah.
There you go. But you weren't done putting out favorite albums of the year. You also put out a Christmas EP, and that was my favorite Christmas EP for sure of the year, called A Little Magic. I know it's not very timely in June or July to be thinking about those, but it was so well done.
Thank you so much.
Just one, all originals with the exception of Let It Be Me. I'm sorry, not
Let There Be Peace on Earth.
Let It Be Me is a completely different song.
That's okay.
And that was the Vince Gill arrangement of that, I think.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and I went back into the studio with Paul Moak, which was, I'm always looking for opportunities to work with him again. So during the pandemic, it was September. We all were wearing Santa hats and masks and just trying to get in the Christmas spirit when the world felt like it was falling apart. But it was a very special time to have to try to tap into that, that childlike outlook on the world of just like everything is magical. And so we had a great time making that record.
It's got to be hard to write original Christmas music, though.
It is so fun. It is so much fun because I like being limited. Like, give me a box and then I will work my way around it. Give me a limitation. So, hey, write a Christmas song. It has to take place in winter or,
right.
on an island. I wrote a song about being on an island in Christmas. So, I had a great time with that.
Something to mentally note. I know June, July, we're not thinking Christmas music, but look that one up and make sure you have it in your collection at some point.
Yes.
I have to also congratulate you on your Kickstarter campaign that I was part of. And I'm definitely proud to be part of it. Rocking the Tea. There were how many of us?
Thank you so much for being part of it. 1,302 people.
It says right there, 1,302 crew. The 4th most funded solo female in Kickstarter history. I hope that stands. And maybe your next one you'll be the first, because I have a feeling you might do another one.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I haven't even thought about that. But maybe, I don't know.
Are you thinking next record at all? I know you're still kind of working on this one because you didn't get a chance to promote it.
Yeah, no, I haven't even gotten there yet. I think at the beginning of the pandemic, everyone was like, oh, artists are going to be so creative in this time stuck at home. But there was I was in survival mode. How do I make a living from home?
Right.
Totally restructure my business and then put out 2 records from my living room, basically. So I did not write very many songs.
I've heard that a lot, actually.
You have? That makes me feel a little better.
Well, 2020 was supposed to be your wedding year, but you finally got married. The man of your dreams, who's to my right over here.
Yeah.
Does this end all the breakup songs best breakup songs I've ever heard?
People have asked that.
I kind of hope that it does, because I don't want you to lose him. He's pretty special. I like him too.
Oh! I definitely won't write any breakup songs about him. Obviously, that's not in the plan. But, but I don't think that I'll stop writing, songs about break. I don't know. It's just part of who I am.
Well,
I started writing breakup songs before I'd ever even been in a relationship.
What?
My first song was a breakup song. I was 14.
What?
It was called Bye Bye Baby.
Wow. And now it's a store.
Yes.
No. I'm very happy for you too. And I mean, I selfishly thought the same thing I thought about when Sarah McLachlan got married, because she had all these forlorn and wanting songs.
Yeah.
And then she got married to Ash, and it was like, well, those are all gone now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Selfish me. I'm going to lose all my favorite style Sarah McLachlan songs. Obviously, you and I have a friendship, and I don't want that to happen for you.
Yes.
I want you to continue to be happy with your choices and write the beautiful love songs like Torture.
Thank you.
Things like that can reach our heart. So collaborations have also been a big part of what you've done, writing with a 7-year-old on your newest album.
Yes.
That has to be a first.
Yeah.
Barnaby Bright, Jesse Terry, Jeff LeBlanc, Michael Logan, Seth Clear, and many others. Do you like that more than writing by yourself, writing with others?
Oh, do I like it more? No, it's just a different experience. I actually think that writing with someone, I mean, there's so much that you can learn from that. And there's something beautiful about walking away from a co-write and thinking, we both have this song now. Who wants to sing it? Or we can both take it out into the world. Like me and Jeff, we both have released songs that we've co-written, and it's cool that we get to release it and put our spin on it, and we're connected in that way. But But there's something really special about writing a song alone that I don't know how to get to that, as I referred to before, that deep meditative songwriting state with someone else in the room. It's just something I haven't been able to figure out how to do. So I wouldn't say that I like co-writing more. No. And Nashville is a co-writing town. So
plenty of opportunity.
Yeah. So to not be a huge fan of co-writing is kind of, it's kind of hard to navigate in Nashville.
Anywhere in the world, anybody in the world, who would it be on your wish list? I'm sorry to interrupt your sentence there.
Oh, that's okay.
Doesn't have to be a Nashville.
I do have someone on my wish list, actually, that I've talked to before, and I've kind of hoped that it happens one day. Dan Wilson.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
He hasn't worked with anybody famous like Adele or anything like that.
No, not like Adele or the Dixie Chicks or anything.
No, nothing. Well, I personally, I think I told you this not in this conversation, but I wanted to be Gary Lightbody of Snow Patrol.
Oh, yeah.
Because his songwriting and the way he writes about love and feeling is very much the same. Like, it hits me exactly the same as the way your stuff does. And I thought, if those two wrote something together, I would probably explode or die, heart attack. I don't know. But
I remember you saying that to me. Yeah. Does he live in Nashville?
No, he's
Minnesota.
Ireland.
Oh, Ireland. Okay.
Somewhere over the pond, over there. Not very close. But they will be touring. And so maybe, while he's in America, because I've got tickets to see a show in Detroit, sometime next year. I don't know. It's been rescheduled 3 times now. So
yeah.
But that just seems like, I mean, he worked, not that you're nothing like Taylor Swift. So bringing her up again is just coincidental.
Hey, I'm a fan. So.
But they did a song together too. So it was,
that's right. On her Red record, right?
Right, yeah. Correct. So just not because of that, just because of the way he writes songs. I think it'd be really, really interesting collaboration. We mentioned Patrick. Patrick play music at all, or is he just in video?
Yeah. So he used to play, before we met, he was doing his singer-songwriter thing. And then when he moved on to Nashville, he started transitioning to more behind the scenes, managing an incredible band called the Young Fables. Mm-hmm. He, as of a month ago, now manages my favorite band, the Barnaby Bright, who
cool.
you know.
Yeah.
And
played your wedding.
They played our wedding, and he filmed their music video for Old Coats years and years ago. So he's just one of those people who's just annoyingly good at everything and kind of constantly morphs. Like, he manages a band, he's a videographer, he's a photographer when he needs to be. He does people's websites. He's just kind of all over the place and really supports artists in every way that he could possibly do. So it's very inspiring to be around him and his creative mind all the time.
Do you guys ever plan on doing music together?
No.
No.
I'm looking at his face. No.
No, he says no too. Probably safe.
He has so many artistic outlets. Like, he's an incredible poet and an artist in his own right. And so it's just amazing that we get to live this creative life together, and we support each other in everything we do. But I don't try to hop on what he does, and he doesn't try to hop on what I do. We just support each other.
There you go. Well, speaking of collaborations, you've got a collaboration that will be, I think it's just for Patreon members. It's the Circle Game concert happening on June 27th. I was already following Rebecca Lobe.
Oh, good.
I am a fan of Heather. I didn't join her Patreon until I'm going to join that too.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
I will be there on June 27th. Is that the only way people can see this concert with the 3 of you, is to join Patreon?
Actually, no, they can see it if they don't join Patreon, but they get a bunch of bonus stuff if they do join Patreon. But it's kind of an invite for people that don't even know what Patreon is. But you can just go to lizlongley.com, and there will be a link to the show. It's on June 27th on a Sunday, I think at 3 o'clock Eastern time. That might be it, something like that. And so, we're going to be in the round virtually on Zoom, and that's why we called it the Circle Game. We all love Joni Mitchell, and we've never all gotten to play a show together. So we're doing it on Patreon together. So on Zoom together, I should say. But we're all on Patreon. It's confusing.
Do you mind discussing the importance of Patreon?
No.
Right now? Because I think this is what has sustained you in the last year.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's literally, that's the only way that I was able to make a living on music from home during the pandemic. And now I consider it a huge part of what I do. I absolutely love it. It is a subscription-based platform where you subscribe and you get tons of exclusive content from me at any level, anywhere from unreleased songs every month and cover songs every month, exclusive recordings, videos. We make a video every month with a cover song, and I tell all the behind the scenes stories about every song that I put out, and everybody gets the music that I put out before the rest of the world does, as a rule. And I do these fun voicemails, which I really enjoy. So I just kind of like like leaving a voice message for all the people that subscribe and just checking in and giving them the scoop on the latest things going on in my life. So it's so much fun. It's a great community. And in 2020, the people that like my music started calling themselves lizards. So that's kind of taken off. So I call them the lizards of Patreon. So if you would like to be a lizard, you are invited.
Cool. Already am, as you know.
Yes, I know you are.
How about another song?
Sure.
Is there a story with this one?
There's always a story.
Do you want to tell the story?
Yes.
'Cause I don't know what you're playing.
Sure. I'm going to play a song called Get to Know Someone. I wrote this after, I had a relationship end, and I just realized that, there was such a difference between the ending of this relationship and previous relationships, and we were able to stay friends. And I thought, wow, you really get to know someone when you're, parting ways. So that's what this song's about. You really get to know someone when they're falling out of love with you. Do they look you in the eye and say it, or whisper it to someone new? Point the finger, point the blame, or hold you till it's all okay, saying losing love is no one's fault. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. When all infatuation's gone, and you tell each other what you want. When all the playing games is done, you really get to know someone. You really get to know someone. It's all in the way they say goodbye. Do they curse your name and slam the door, or kiss you for just one last time? It's all in the way they tell the story. Do they take the heat or take the glory? Hey, losing love is no one's fault. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. When all infatuation's gone, and you tell each other what you want. When all the playing games is done, you really get to know someone. So don't make it harder than it has to be. Make it easy on me. You really get to know someone when a little bit of time has passed. When you see each other out somewhere, it's all in the way their eyes react. But you turned around and smiled at me, kinder than you had to be. You could have been a total stranger, but that's not really in your nature. And though it was a flash of time, I'm glad I got to call you mine. I learned a lot from loving you. I learned a lot from losing you. When all infatuation's gone, and you see each other moving on. When all the playing games is done, you really get to know someone. Yeah, when there's nothing left to prove, it's a little too late, but ain't it true? You really get to know someone when they're falling out of love with you.
Liz Longley is my guest on Acoustic Alternatives, another track from Funeral for My Past, her newest record, which you can find lizlongley.com and all the major sites that sell music.
Exactly.
Thanks for doing that. Songs about other people. Hard to sing at this point? I mean,
No,
because most of your catalog is not about Patrick.
Yeah, no. I've been lucky that I've never had any relationship where the person I'm with has a hard time with me singing the songs that I wrote before. I've been lucky in that. Maybe just because I haven't given them any wiggle room to be jealous. Like, you're good.
Yeah.
Patrick is very secure in our relationship, and I'm very secure in our relationship that I can sing songs from the past and know that that's a part of me, and Patrick has parts of his past, and that's just how it is, you can't expect someone to come along and not have a past. And there's this new song that we've been listening to by Emily Wise Band, and it's called Psychopath. And it's basically like, you'd be a psychopath if you didn't have like just any feelings about the people that you loved in the past. Not that I have feelings for anyone from the past, but you know what I mean? Like, if you have a heart, like you've experienced things in your life.
Sure.
And I think that I've experienced enough to bring the good things, that I learned into our relationship and vice versa. So
the song that you just played, kind of as you were playing it, it reminded me of how many times I've tried to prioritize maintaining a friendship. Because if you loved somebody, there's a connection there. You don't want to really lose them, even if you break up. I mean, unless it's a horrible breakup, but you obviously had things in common, and there's still a friendship there if it can be nurtured, if it was not a horrible situation.
Right.
So it didn't work out, that's fine. Maybe it takes 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever, to maintain that friendship again. But
come back to it.
Right. But you had a connection.
Right.
I mean, unless it was only sexual, but most of the time there's an emotional connection with somebody.
Yeah.
So.
Well, just to be clear, that's the only person that I dated that I'm still like, mildly in touch with. Yeah, like we've hung out with him, and it's totally cool. He's actually how him and I connected.
Oh, well, that's sweet.
we were already broken up, him and I, because we were just cool to be friends. So, and then Patrick came along. That was actually, so Can't Help Myself, when I filmed Can't Help Myself, Patrick and I, that's kind of where we reconnected. But my ex is who recorded it. So it was just kind of a funny thing how it all worked out.
Very nice.
But, everything happens the way it's supposed to happen, I think.
Well, thanks to Patreon, I was actually able to watch your wedding ceremony.
Oh, my gosh.
I was crying. Sorry. I mean, I wasn't there, but
I love it.
It was beautiful. And then,
it was the best.
Sharing it with us was really special. It was really cool.
Well, I'll have more for you whenever we get the videos and the Patreon, the videos and the photographs back. I'll be sharing it on Patreon.
One of the stories that you shared on Patreon and shared at your concerts too is your wedding night story. What happened as you were trying to get to your room? Tell us the story.
Yeah. Like your wedding night is like the most special night of your life, and you're exhausted at the end of it though. And so we loaded everything into our hotel room, and we're like, oh my gosh, we should at least just go hang out with our friends in the lobby for a little bit. So we left everything in our room, like cake, champagne, cards, what we were going to sleep in, our toiletries, like I wear contacts, all the things that you need just to sleep and wake up the next day and not look like a crazy person.
Yeah.
And we got locked out, and we thought we'd get back in that night, but long story short, we didn't. And the hotel was like, basically, we're going to knock down the door or get a technician sometime tomorrow. I'm like, let's knock down the door.
Yeah, I want my stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to show up to my breakfast tomorrow morning in my sweaty wedding dress.
Brunch tomorrow. I'm like, I'm not wearing my wedding dress to brunch tomorrow. Anyway,
that'd be a story too, though.
Yeah, can you imagine people like, what happened to you? Why are you still in that?
I just love this dress.
I'm not ready to let go.
I only get to wear it once. I got to wear it at least 2 more hours.
Oh, and our wedding night, it had rained too, so like the bottom of my dress was like a soggy, muddy mess. It wasn't cute at that point. So anyway, long story short, we did not get into our room. They did not knock the door down. We had to sleep in another room with none of our stuff. Oh. And Patrick's friend was so sweet. And she's like, I have some clothes you can wear on your wedding night, sweatpants and a paint-stained baggy t-shirt. So, it was very romantic. Yeah. So we'll always remember it.
It's a great story, though. I mean, it's memorable for sure. I don't remember mine other than she had a migraine. Awesome.
Oh, no. Yeah. Yes. Oh, that sucks. Yes. I'm sorry.
That's when I found out that flash photography can cause migraines. That's when I learned that on wedding night. No way. Well, because it's, blinking out.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, there you go. In dark rooms. Oh. So your job, as most people would see it, is as a singer-songwriter, but really they forget about the part that brings you to me and brings you to shows, the traveling part of the job. That takes up more hours than the performing, doesn't it?
It does. And I am a driver. That is my other job. Yes, I'm a driver. I wish I could say tour bus driver, but I'm a minivan driver. And honestly, that's part of it. That's kind of what makes it work. Mm-hmm. The time to think and drive, to clear your mind and set yourself straight for the next day and get re-energized. Remember why you love to do it and think about all the things, the highs and lows the night before. There's something special about it. So, yeah, that's part of my job. It's not glamorous. Like the first night of tour, I haven't been on tour in so long, mm-hmm. and I forgot, like, oh yeah, sometimes you have to get dressed in your car, in the parking lot, in front of the building, and hide under a sheet. Okay,
Yeah.
noted. Yeah, it's not glamorous.
Well, now you have a traveling companion.
Yes, I'm so lucky in that, but not all the time. You know, he has his own stuff going on, so I'm lucky that he's on this tour with me.
What do you guys listen to when you're traveling? Podcast, music, nothing?
I listen to podcasts. I do. Yeah. Although we were listening to music on the way over here. What were we listening to? Oh, Andrew Ripp. We really love Andrew Ripp. He had a song that we used during our wedding, and so we love listening to him. It gets us pumped. But yeah, I have a podcast that I am a member of her Patreon, and I get all the extra content, and it just really entertains me.
Eventually mine will be available in audio form, currently video and sometimes
Great.
audio. So then you can at least check out the one with Patrick's friend in Elevado.
Yes, that's so cool. And you need to have a Patreon because people love what you do and people want to support you. So I highly recommend it. You will be so amazed at how good it feels to share exclusive content with people, and how when people support you, it refuels you, you know? So
I have a hard time
encourage you.
I have a hard time believing in myself enough to think that I would get support, but thank you.
I get that. I struggled with launch. I'm like, do I want to do this? You know, but it's been such a blessing in my life.
You're doing
so.
fine. House shows along the way in between the venues. Do you have more obnoxious fans? Like perhaps, I'm not going to bring up anyone in particular, but do you find that that's more common at the house shows than at the actual like venues? Are people more behaved in venues than they are in house shows?
Well, actually not. Usually house shows, people are pretty good.
Really? Yeah.
Last night was a unique experience.
A
little bit of kissing people we didn't know.
Yeah, a little bit. There must have been some.
A little bit of something extra in the drink.
Liquid courage.
That's the thing, is that, you know, whatever they're drinking, they brought it. So there's no limitation.
Right.
They're just going. But no, typically I'm really lucky that I play mostly listening rooms. So if someone is like talking a lot, typically a venue will say, hey, you know what, this is a listening room. Yeah. So I'm lucky in that sense. But yeah, last night was, you know, those are the kind of things though, as a performer, that you remember, and they make your night like more interesting. I thought it was fun. It's fun when somebody interacts with you from the crowd, and like people I know think it's rude, but sometimes it's interesting and it spices up the night for me. So I don't mind it too much.
It felt rude. That's why I asked.
Yeah. No, I'm not offended. I'm not very easily offended.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
What would 14-year-old say to you? Your 14-year-old self say to yourself now?
I think she would be surprised, very surprised that this is my job. I was a really shy kid growing up. And I don't know, like I was really shy. I know I always loved singing, but I think I would have been surprised that I ended up songwriting, because that was not originally part of, I didn't even know, I don't know, I just didn't think about how songs come to be, you know? I think she'd be really happy that this is the path my life has gone down.
I'm happy it's the path your life went down.
Thank you. Thank you so much for always supporting me and my music.
I will. Till I'm gone.
Thank you, John.
I know it was a tough year for writing songs. Is there anything new? You've been always kind and always giving me like, this is from my next thing. And I've gotten it like a year before it happens. You don't have to have anything new in the coffer, but this is a final song and I want to let you play whatever you want. If there's something new you want to throw out here, do it. If not, play something from Funeral.
I'm going to play Funeral from my past.
I'm good with that.
Thank you for that invite, though. Hopefully next time I'll have something new I can test out on you. Hey, yeah. Hey, yeah. Hey, yeah. Hey, yeah. Hey, yeah. Hey, yeah. I held a funeral for my past today. Laid it in the ground where it's meant to stay. With the roots, the dirt, pain and the hurt die right there as I stood right before my eyes, up from the ashes, up from the ashes, my feelings did rise. Hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah. So come, gather round. What will you lay to rest? Whatever kills you slowly, don't give it one more breath. Let it go, let it be, let it rest here in peace. Lay it down at the funeral for your past today. Hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, here's your funeral. Hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, flowers for your funeral. Hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah.
Wish I had the strength to do that sometimes, because sometimes the past really gets you.
Oh yeah, I mean, I wrote this as an encourage myself to let shit go. Can I say that?
Yeah, of course. It's not the radio.
But it is not easy, and it almost serves for me as a daily reminder of like, oh yeah, check in, let go. What am I holding on to? Because every day it's different. It's not okay, set it and forget it. It's an everyday practice to let things go, and it's not easy, especially with all that is going on in our world. Even as things open up, I wrote this song before 2020, but now more than ever, I want to have a funeral for my past. Like, let's let that shit go and take what we can learn from it and move forward,
Some people spent so much time in isolation, it's going to be hard to reinsert themselves into society. I mean, I did my best to try and stay in touch with people, but it's still challenging.
Oh, I'm right there with you. I'm a total introvert, and I don't think if I didn't have music and touring, I don't know what I'd be doing right now. I think I would 100% be at home and be trying to awkwardly figure out, how to, get back to normal. But I've just been kind of thrown into it because of touring, it's just, and you remember quickly how amazing people are, we were all on the internet in 2020 and we're like, oh, people suck,
Right.
You see the worst of humanity on Twitter.
Yep.
And then you get back into reality and like, people are good. People are so good. So we're going to see that again.
I'm grateful for you.
I'm grateful for you too, John. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Max, for filming and recording. And thank you to your sponsors. And I hope you know how many people believe in you and what you do and how valuable what you do is to artists and the people that listen to what you do. So don't forget that.
Thank you. LizLongley.com to find out more about her and explore that catalog if you don't know it. And big thanks to Grove Studios for encouraging me to do this in the first place. Again, thanks to Max for the video, and David Palmer, you made this possible. I want to really thank you. If you're, as I mentioned in the middle, if you're looking for somebody to help you with the real estate needs, the real estate downsizing, if you've got somebody in the elderly part of your life, like my father, maybe your parent has passed away and you're trying to figure out what to do, he's going to be your solution. So check out dcpalmer.com. David Palmer, affiliated with Realty Experts LLC, 1420 Washington Street, number 301, Detroit, Michigan, 48226-313-759-9558. What a pleasure to see you, and I can't wait till we cross paths again, my friend.
Ditto. Hopefully it won't be too long.
I hope not. More Acoustic Alternatives is planned, so we're going to continue doing this as long as I can do it. Thanks for supporting it. Have a great rest of your day.